Good morning, everyone. In the previous class, it's already completed the mechanism of respiration in human beings. Like means how the inhalation and exhalation formation of your body, how the lungs are working continuously in the structure wise, and what are the main functions of in the lungs, how the air enter and exit in the process of inhalation and exhalation. The topic is finished in the yesterday class. But sir, in inhalation formation, the number of gases enter off in your body. In exhalation formation, more amount of carbon dioxide exhale off in your body. But where these gases are, we can exchanging, sir. Why this in exhalation more amount of carbon dioxide is there? Inhalation mixture of gases are there, but in exhalation formation, more amount of carbon dioxide we can exhale. Why? What is the reason? And why this oxygen required of in your body and the where the gases are exchanged of in your bodies. So these are the interesting factors. Interesting topic is that the topic name is the exchange of gases. What is the topic name? The gases exchanging system. Okay, the gases exchanging system of in your body, mainly two different places are there here. In our gases exchanging system takes in your body only two places. What are the two places only? One is the at the lungs level, and another stage at the tissues level. The gases exchange in our body two different places are there. One is the lungs level, we can gases exchange from the alveoli to blood capillaries, and the tissues level in the tissues level we can the blood cell with the tissues to cell and the cell to and the capillaries to cells. So two different places, one is the lungs level, another tissues level. So in the first, how the gases are exchanging first in the lungs level. In the lungs level first, what are the main structural function of the lungs is called for alveoli. When the alveoli, how the we can gases exchanging are there in the how to before we can exchange gases, what is the structure of alveoli, in the which mechanisms are there we can exchanging process. Like you can see, observe the picture in this alveoli, everybody. In this picture we can observe alveoli, we can the lungs wise. So where the alveoli are located here in your bodies, the two lungs are in your body. In the right side look at the right lung and the left side look at the left lung, and the right lung consisting of three lobes are there and the left lung consisting of two lobes. So each and every lobe of the lungs we can divide into some branches are there, that is called for bronchi. End of the bronchi we can consisting of a small duct connected a cluster of thousand of microscopic bubble like structure, that is called for alveolus. So end of the bronchi, a cluster of thousand microscopic bubble or bulb or in the grape like structure is called for alveolus, or this is called for alveolus. In the structure wise alveoli, this word alveoli in the came from Latin word. The alveoli is came from the Latin word that means little cavity. Little cavity means we can observe in the cross section of the alveoli some empty space is present is there here. The empty space is called for cavity. That's why the name mentioned is called for alveoli is their name. So the alveoli we can comes from the Latin word that meaning is called for little cavity. So these alveoli are organized into the bunches. Each bunch group is called for alveoli sac. So normally alveoli are within the bunch group like structures. Each bunch of the group is called for alveoli sac. Alveoli sac. The sac means a bag like structure because these alveoli are one of the bag like structures are the here. So in each lung consisting of here the total overall in the 600 millions of alveoli are there in your lungs. The how many alveoli are 600 millions of alveoli are there in the two lungs of in your body. But you have some feeling out there why the here lungs and the spongy natures are here. You know that the number of alveoli and alveoli sacs give your lungs in the sponge consistency. The sponge consistency. Sometimes the lungs are in the spongy nature. Spongy nature are why the lungs are spongy nature? The number of alveoli and alveolar sac. This give your lungs to the spongy consistency or the hairs. But each alveoli we can observe the microscoping. In the normally in the 0.2 diameter is there. 0.2 diameter. 0.2 mm in the diameter is there here. So finally alveolus are here, tiny, a balloon shaped structures and a smallest passageway into the respiratory system of in your body in alveolus are the here. These are in the external structure which we can observe. But you can go to some internal structure in the 2 or 3 points are there, don't worry. You can go to the internal structure of the alveoli. The mainly alveoli the made up of two different types of cells. Alveoli made up of two different types of cells are there. Two different types. In the one is type 1 of the alveolar cells, in the type 2 of the alveolar cells, in the type 1 and type 2. The type 1 is pneumatocytes, that is called for pneumocytes are there here. Type 1 pneumocytes and the type 2 pneumocytes, both are the same name. Alveolus are made up of two different cells, in the type 1 pneumocytes and the type 2 pneumocytes. In the type 1 pneumocytes, these type 1 pneumocytes total occupy the place of 95% occupying the type 1 pneumocyte cells in alveolar chamber. The mainly these type 1 pneumocytes here, a thin broad cells is made up of squamous epithelial tissues. The type 1 of the pneumocyte cells in alveolar part, they are made up of in the squamous epithelium tissue and a thin broad cells are the hairs. So almost in the 95% occupying the place of in the lungs in alveoli, only type 1 pneumocyte cells. Now what is the main function sir in the type 1 pneumocytes? So what will the function are there here? Main responsible for exchanging of gases. That where the gas are exchanging process of in your body lungs only here. In the which type of part we can gas exchanging or the here? In the type 1 pneumocyte cells responsible for gases exchanging system of in your body, only pneumocyte cells only here, type 1 pneumocyte cells. So almost 95% occupy this type of cells only. Another here, type 2 pneumocyte cells are the here. These type 2 pneumocyte cells are rounded shape. That's when the alveolus are become round shape like structure. The type 2, the pneumocyte cells are in the round shape like structure. In only occupy the only 5% we can occupy the place. 5%. But these 5% of in the type 2 pneumocyte cells, two different functions we can carrying out the here. One is responsible for repairing and damage to the alveolar lining. Any damages are there, any repairing into the alveolar liner is only totally maintain the repairing formation. That is one of the responsible in the type 2 pneumocyte cells. And another function, keep the shape of in alveoli, like in the breath inhalation and exhalation formation shape, we can keep same shape we can maintain out the hairs. Alveolus are in the sac in the bubble structures are the here. The sac and rounded in the bubble structure, the same shape we can maintain them. The helping of cells is called for type 2 pneumocyte cells. Like when the one is responsible for repairing and damaging to alveolar lining, and another function, keep the shape of the breath inhalation exhalation time. There is no changing of the shape by being responsible are the hairs. But inside the alveoli a consisting of some immune cells are the hairs. So immune cells. These immune cells also known as is called for alveolar macrophages. Alveolar macrophages are the hairs. Alveolar macrophages. So inside of the alveoli, we can go to the deep in the microscope level. Some a small amount of in the dot-like structure formation of cells are there. The immune cells, that is called for alveolar macrophages of cells is there here. This alveolar macrophage cells, the main macrophages means the killing of bacteria. Any other bacteria we can enter are there automatically killing. and to maintain the to releasing of phospholipids and some proteins inside the lungs, and cleaning any dead cells or the bacteria or the totally cleaning process that we can maintain. These cells only are here inside the alveoli, consisting of different types of some immune cells are there here. The immune cells is called alveolar macrophages. These alveolar macrophages in the main function to killing of any other bacteria, infectious bacteria we can killing, are the likes for smoking process. We can observe the smoking and any unwanted particles center of in your body. We can totally, we can some type of some feeling or there in your body. So that time we can attacking of this type of in the macrophages to kill in this bacteria, and the cleaning also. So we can remove the in the tissue in the lungs level, that means alveoli part, to remove continuously. That's why these inside the immune cells of in the alveolar macrophage also called as garbage trucks. So in your lungs also one garbage truck is there. What is a garbage truck? Any other wastage particles are there? How do we can exit? I mean, remove in the lungs level to carry the main only, that is called for alveolar macrophages. So these are inside and so I mean external and internal structure of the alveolar chamber. So which type of cells helping in the gas exchange system? 95% occupying the type 1 pneumocyte cells exchanging of the gases, response for the gases exchanging system. But alveoli consisting of mainly 3 functions only we can carry. Only 3 functions. In the first one, ventilation. What is the meaning of ventilation? And the second one, diffusion type of function we can carry, and third one, perfusion. Ventilation, diffusion, perfusion. Ventilation, air in and out of your lungs. The ventilation means air enter and exit of your lungs to maintain the proper way. That is one of the function of the lung, that is pulmonary ventilation. So somebody will observe the patients. The patient is a ventilator, or the ventilator means the lungs do not carry any type of air inhalation. This is a problems are there, that function is the ventilator part. So the alveoli is the main function in the ventilation, that is pulmonary ventilation. That means air inhalation and exhalation process maintained are the ears. And the second one, diffusion. Enter and exit, then after what doing are the here? Exchanging. In our gases exchanging of the in the lungs level, they maintain the alveoli by the process of diffusion process. After exchanging, after what happened is another third function, that is called for perfusion. Not a perfume, that is perfusion are the ears. The perfusion, which type of blood we can exchanging are there? That blood through your lungs to pumping in your body. I mean exchanging or that is oxygen we can enter the blood, carbon dioxide enter the lungs. That means the pumping of the blood through your lungs part by process is called for air perfusion. That means the oxygenated blood pumping of in your body from lungs to heart, the process is called for perfusion. The mainly 3 different types of function carry the lungs in alveoli part. That's why alveoli is called for structural functional unit of the lungs. One of the note important one point in the lungs alveoli part. So guess we can remember everyone with some guessing are there. Per minute, how much air enter off in your body? How much air we can lungs we can take are the hairs? You know that here in the gallons wise 1.3 to 2.1 gallons. That means almost per minute 5 to 8 liters of air we can enter off in your body. Lungs we can taking. What is the capacity lungs we can identify? Per minute minimum 8 to maximum minimum 5 to maximum 8 liters of air we can taking process we can occur in the lungs only here. So what is the capacity of your lung? Just we can imagination of in your body. So this is the totally, I mean the total structure of in the alveoli structure and functions are the here. But when the gases exchange system wise, I introduce here, when the gases exchange takes place of only lungs level, one is the lungs level part. Lungs level, that means lungs, which type only lungs carry into the alveolus are there? Alveolus to blood capillaries. This is the first step. how the alveoli to blood capillaries we can gases exchanging are there by the involving of some cells are there. The cells is called for type 1 pneumocyte cells. So first we can observe this diagram everybody. This is alveolar structure. In alveolar chamber in the made up of in the yellow color, the outer cover surface totally made up of epithelial cells. In alveolar outer chamber totally made up of here epithelial cells. In epithelial cells consisting of some fluid consisting are there between the alveolar chamber into the epithelial cells, some liquid fluid are there, that is called for layer of fluid. Here total fluid consisting of different types of phospholipids and proteins we can secrete a type 2 cells. The shape we can does not changing are there here. In the type 2 cells we can maintain the another function, keep the shaping of the inhalation exhalation formation, that is a layer of fluid, the fluid consisting of phospholipids and proteins. And these alveoli connecting of the blood capillaries, here some tissues are there, that is called for connective tissue. In alveoli and the blood capillaries, each and every alveoli is surrounded by some blood capillaries. But how the blood capillaries and alveoli are connected? With help of some tissue, that is called for connective tissue. And these of the basement membrane of alveoli and the basement membrane of the blood capillaries in the connecting by the connective tissue. So these blood capillaries in the outer surrounded layer, the made up of here endothelial cells. Here only epithelial cells we can covering of the alveolar chamber, but in the blood capillaries we can covering with the cells is called for endothelial cells. So here we can enter the oxygen in the mixture of gases enter the lungs in the alveolar chamber. Here to here we can transport to the oxygen, and here to we can transport to the carbon dioxide. How the we can this type of gas exchanging are there? Let us see. And gas exchange, which type of process are there? Diffusion. Let us see what is interesting. So in alveoli to blood capillaries, that exchanging of the respiration is called for external respiration is called, and any that external means the lungs is called for external respiration. So let us see in this topic, this diagram everybody. So where the blood comes from? First of all, the blood comes from to the lungs, through the lungs to the blood capillary, the help of pulmonary artery. Yes or no? The pulmonary artery is, this is called for pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery and the carries deoxygenated blood into the lungs from the heart. Yes or no? Yes. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood into the lungs from the heart, where it branches and eventually becomes a capillary network composed of pulmonary capillaries. These are we can compose totally pulmonary capillaries are the here. These pulmonary capillaries create some respiratory membrane with alveoli. These pulmonary capillaries we can create some respiratory membrane within to the alveoli part. As the blood is pumped through this capillary network in the gases exchange, we can a continuous blood pumping are the here. That time what happens is the gases exchange continually we can occurs. So how we can the gases occurs are the here? When they enter the blood with the blood capillaries, here we can passing are the here. Here we can to passing are the here. But the mixture of gases enter the alveolar chamber. In alveoli, the concentration level we can increasing are the here. The concentration level will increase. How much in the concentration increase are here? We can observe. In the partial pressure of in the oxygen in the alveoli is almost about 104 mm of mercury level is there here. In the mixture of gases enter of your lungs, what is the pressure of in the inside alveolar chamber? In 104 millimeters of mercury level are the here. Where it is partial pressure of blood of the capillary about into the here what happened is the blood capillary here, there only in the blood capillary 40 mmHg is there here. What is the level of oxygen pressure here? Only 40 mmHg. In inhalation formation, the mixture of gases enter the lungs in alveolar chamber. In alveolar chamber pressure is maximum 104 mmHg are the here. But in the blood capillaries, the blood continues going are the here from the heart to lungs, lungs to heart. Then the blood capillaries surrounded by alveoli. Here we can oxygen level in the 40 mmHg. So you know that already diffusion process. What is the meaning of diffusion? High concentration to low concentration. Where the high concentration is there here, alveolar blood capillary is alveolar chamber. So here alveoli of the oxygen to enter the in the basement member of an endothelium cells to connect it into the RBC cells. In RBC cells, a small amount of the oxygen is able to dissolve directly into the plasma. So this is called for in the white dots are there here. The oxygen enter the blood capillaries are there here. First, the oxygen we can enter the directly plasma from the alveoli. Most of the oxygen is picked up to the RBC cells. When the RBC cell we can pick up binds a protein called here hemoglobin protein are there here. When the hemoglobin is consisting of the 4 heme proteins, so heme proteins are there here. In one of the side we can temporarily we can empty place are there. This temporarily empty of the one of the place of heme protein we can bind it the oxygen to convert it oxyhemoglobin wise. This oxyhemoglobin we can continue passing at the here that overall appearance of bright red originated blood which returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins. So here through the pulmonary veins we can passing at the here. We can enter the pulmonary artery to pulmonary veins. In this process what happened is that here high concentration to low concentration some gases are exchanging system. Yes or no? So what is the partial pressure we can decide are the here. The partial pressure of in oxygen in alveoli, what is the level? 104 mm Hg mercury level is here. But what are the partial pressure of in the blood capillaries? 40 mm Hg. What is the difference? About 64 mm are here. That means high concentration to low concentration. We get the law. That means this is a large difference in the partial pressure, a gradient that causes of oxygen to rapidly cross the respiratory membrane from alveoli to the blood. When this partial pressure of carbon dioxide is also different between alveolar and blood. Now look at the carbon dioxide. So oxygen we can enter the connected with the RBC cell. We can go to the pulmonary veins, enter the lung, heart to the body parts. We can passing out there. We can exchanging by the helping of type 1 pneumocyte cells. But what about sir? We can exchanging of another gas out there that is called carbon dioxide. So in the we can observe the carbon dioxide different between alveoli to the blood of the capillary. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the blood capillary about 45 mm Hg. 45 mm in the blood capillaries of carbon dioxide. What is the pressure? 45 mm Hg. There is a partial pressure in alveoli about in 40 mm Hg. What is the level? 40 mm Hg. So where the high concentration are in the blood capillaries concerned carbon dioxide high concentration, in alveoli carbon dioxide is less concentration. Where to where go here? From blood capillaries to alveoli we can exchanging of the carbon dioxide gases. That means in the simple level here the gases exchanging is diffusion process is clear, but how the gases are exchanging? By the process of diffusion, some partial pressure levels are the here. Carbon dioxide in the pressure level alveoli high amount are there, almost 104 mm Hg levels are there here in the comparing of blood capillaries. In the blood capillaries of carbon oxygen level only 40 mm Hg are there, so high concentration 104 to 40 we can enter. But here carbon dioxide 45 mm of in the blood capillaries, in the 40 mm of only here in alveolar chamber. So in the 45 to 40 we can crossing at high concentration. That way process is called for diffusion process is there. This is one of the gases exchanging system into the alveoli to blood capillaries. Is it clear? In alveoli to blood capillaries we can gas exchange. We can cross the alveoli of the respiratory membrane to the connective tissue to enter the plasma to dissolve the plasma, and we can enter the cells. RBC cells consisting of here hemoglobin protein are there, which in each and every hemoglobin we can some 4 molecules are there, and each and every molecule we can bind it the oxygen to convert it oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin RBCs are bright red color converted here to passing into the help of pulmonary veins to the passing of heart to the body parts we can sending out there. But how we can exchanging out the inside some partial pressure is different. That's why the oxygen we can enter the alveoli to blood capillaries. The carbon dioxide we can enter the blood capillaries to alveoli. In the which process? By the process of diffusion process. By the which process are there? By the process of diffusion process, the gases exchanging in alveoli to blood capillaries. So next, another site is there here. So we can clearly we can observe in this sorry, you may not get the clear observation are there here, some confusion are there. In this gas exchange, I introduce one cubic process level. So here we can observe the different colors are there. So blood is here only, blood is there here. I mean there's exchanging process here only. The liquid type of gas enter of in your oral alveolar chamber, the oxygen is there here. When oxygen cross into the respiratory membrane in the blue color and the dot into the epithelial cells and also connected with the connective tissue and to the endothelium cells and to the dissolve in the plasma and next into carry the RBC cells. So this how these I mean the whole lot of crossing sections are there here. We can crossing section of in your body. We can exchange of gases from high concentration to low concentration, because when the gases type of oxygen molecule we converted the liquid formation by only here. We can easily bind it by the RBC to the gases exchanging system. I mean it's not clear understood about in this diagram. This is only clearly we can understand the here. So this diagram here to draw the gases exchange system of alveoli to blood capillaries. I mean what are the main layers are the here, how to we can connect it into the blood capillaries. In the first we can dissolve into the plasma, then after we can enter into the RBC cells. Why the RBC cell we can bind it out there, because in the attracting of some protein is there, that hemoglobin protein. The hemoglobin, some empty sites are the 4 heme proteins are there. Each and every in the empty space we can cited by the RBC and cited by the oxygen to bind it to go into the help of pulmonary veins to the heart. Is which process are they here total? Diffusion process from high concentration to low concentration. What are the partial pressure already discussing are the here. Is it clear? So we can observe alveoli to blood capillaries. How the oxygen diffuse into our red blood cells, how the carbon dioxide diffuse into alveolus. From high concentration to low concentration. So in the blue color or the hairs, there is no oxygen. We convert in the bright red color, we can consisting of a lot of oxygen molecules are the hairs. In this simply we can observe in this diagram. Blood from the heart are the hairs. Heart we can go to the here in the lungs. This is called for alveolar chamber. And here only we can what happened is the blood gets surrounded by the blood capillaries in the alveolar sac. So in the oxygen enter in the blood capillaries, carbon dioxide exit the blood capillaries to alveoli. We can go to the blood returning to the heart. The simple. And the next, the gases exchanging in the second level is called for tissue level. It means tissue level only here. Tissue level gas exchange system. Here tissue level, what is there in the tissue level in the gases exchange system here? That is called for internal respiration of the gases exchange that occurs at the level of body tissues, similar to external respiration, similar to in the same process of in the alveoli to blood capillary, but here tissues to cells, and cell to tissues. I mean tissues is called for blood capillaries are there, don't worry. So in the pulmonary veins, the oxygenated blood sending into the heart to the through the number of in the arteries, the blood sending into the ears, I mean systemic arteries, and through the body parts are the ears. So finally where we can reach out in this blood, a group of cell wise and reach into the tissues. The tissues means a group of cells is called for tissue is called for him. So inside the partial pressure of an oxygen in tissues is low, about in the 40 mmHg are the here is clear. So in the tissues level, what is the partial pressure of oxygen here? Only 40 mmHg. What is the level? 40 mm is there here. Because oxygen is continuously used for the cellular respiration, because when the oxygen we can enter in this part, we're receiving other oxygen. The receiving oxygen, what happened in the cells? Only a continuous cellular respiration, burning of the molecule, prepared of the glucose molecule, automatic the oxygen we can utilizing are there. So the mercury level we can use cellular respiration, we can amount low. So what is oxygen level? Only 40 mm is there here. In contrast, the partial pressure of oxygen is the blood is about 100 mmHg. In the blood, what is the mercury level? 100 mmHg. So in the tissues to cell from 100 mmHg to 40 mmHg we can enter. When we can using a reverse of carbon dioxide is there here. What is the partial pressure of in the blood? I mean in the cells in the blood oxygen 40 mmHg. About tissues, I mean capillaries 100 mmHg. So where we can transfer that from capillaries to cells passing in the oxygen. So what about when the carbon dioxide are here? In contrast, the partial pressure of oxygen in the blood is about 100 mmHg. This creates a pressure, a gradient that causes of oxygen to dissociate it from hemoglobin. The hemoglobin diffuse out of the blood in across the interstitial space, enter the tissue. The hemoglobin that has a little oxygen bond to it loses much of its blood, so that the blood returning to the heart is more the burgundy in the color. In the same way of the carbon dioxide, in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide lower in the blood, it is the tissues. The causing carbon dioxide to diffuse out of the tissue, and the cross interstitial fluid enter the blood. It is carried back to the lungs, and both are in the bonded to the hemoglobin and the plasma are converted from. So same process are the here. Tissues, more amount of oxygen are there, the oxygen enter the cells. In the cells, by using of oxygen, the more amount of carbon dioxide become formation. So in the high concentration carbon dioxide enter the cells to tissues. From tissues to passing into the blood capillaries to the lungs. Here we can exchanging are there to the exhalation process we can occur. That means same process are the here. Where the high pressure are the here. So in the here only tissue cells are the here. High amount of oxygen molecule enter the tissues. The tissues inside only tissues are there. There is high amount of carbon dioxide is there, low amount of oxygen is there here. So the oxygen enter here, carbon dioxide exhale here. So this carbon dioxide exhale to the return to the heart, to the lungs, to exhalation of in your body. So what is the pressure we can define outside in RBC cells of oxygen 100 mmHg, in the tissues consisting of oxygen level 40 mmHg. So we can change it. In tissues consisting of carbon dioxide is 104 in 45 mmHg, and in blood return to the mm only here in 20 mmHg. So the tissues to the capillaries enter the carbon dioxide, from capillaries to tissues we can enter the oxygen. So a continuous you can exchange process involving here. These places also involving of here. Which type of cells are here? Here the only RBC cells are we can find out the gas exchange system involving are the here. But there is no another cells is not helping out there. Is it clear? This is a gases exchange system into the external and internal respiratory system. In the same way, another topic is there here after gas exchange system. Another topic, transportation of gases. So how this transportation of gases, how the gases are transported in from lungs to from the cells level, how we can transport are there. Inhalation wise how we can transport, and exhalation how we can transport are there. Like in the some another topic are there in the same way, in the same concept, but some type of some intermediate products are we can adding in this concept. So this is a very important topic in the gases exchange system. Is a very important question, and the very important concept of the further studies is each and every concept in the 10th class by helping of in the further studies. Compulsory if you have to go to the any NEET level examination, any competitive examination in the 10th is a basic concept, basic level of the all the different types of concept, number of examinations. So just on the ones we can revise and the listen continuously. So why say in the textbook wise and the gas exchange are only 2 lines are the here, but why the gas exchange occurs, why and how the gas are exchanged, which type of cells are involving, what type of process are there, and how the alveolus is made up of the what type of cells, why the blood capillaries we can receive and they sending into the oxygen carbon dioxide. That time there is no receiving, or what happened is there some type of in the smoking persons and the alcohol taking person, the same type of gas exchanging or any difference are there? Your mind totally think about in the like in the doctors, you are the, I'm already saying pulmonologist or the ears, the study of your lungs. So that way here to that manner here to learn and the such. So otherwise no one. Another the so finally where the gas exchanging are there, the gas exchange from the lungs level and tissue level. In the lungs level, alveoli consisting of mixture of an inter of oxygen molecule to oxygen enter the blood carbon dioxide enter the lungs. Another level, tissue level. In the tissues more amount of oxygen are there, the oxygen enter the cells, and the cells can more amount of carbon dioxide enter the tissues. So here two different types of exchanging of the gases are there in your body. So another two topics are there in the concept one. One is the transportation of gases, and then cellular respiration. One of the most important topics are there here. Thank you everyone.